Hello everyone, Hawky here, back with another Sword of Convallaria video. The Heshan is an insane crit buffer. Like, look at his skills. On his voice skill, when he goes Verdant Melody, right? He gives your allies at the end of the turn crit rate 2, crit damage 1. And when he has his aura, Homecoming Bugle, increase crit rate by 20%. And crit damage by 5% for all allies within 4 tiles. If target has Liberation, crit rate is increased by additional 10%, crit damage by additional 5%. And remember that was crit damage 1 from the selector. And now the Tribal War Song is if he's in the Verdant Melody, he gives them crit damage 2. So this is insane. Like, I have to show you guys for you guys to really see this. So like Lukema here has her base 10% plus 15% crit, right? 25% there. And everything else like doesn't really give her any crit. And then her liberation stacks give her crit, right? So each stack 2% up to 10% here. So 5 stacks of liberation when she uses the break the shackles skills like this one does get the extra 10% crit. Alright, so let's see our crit at the start of the battle. Like, we can't see the actual crit, but we can sort of calculate it, right? So we've got the 15 plus the base 10%, so that's 25. Plus we haven't had liberation yet, but we've got the bugle effects. So yeah, the 20% crit rate's there, the crit damage is there. So what we do is we need to probably move closer to the main battle, right? We do our concerto rest. So this is the Verdant Melody. The Verdant Melody, if we stand by, end of turn, Lukema does gain that extra crit 2, crit damage 1, right? So let's backtrack a bit. So we do that Verdant Melody. And we need a little bit of energy because we're just 1 star with nothing. And tribal war, whatever, drum. And that would give the crit damage 2 here, right? So we still have that crit 1 from the Verdant Melody. And you can see now this is 30 and 10% compared to what we saw before, right? The aura, because now we got the liberation stacks, right? Yeah, 5 stacks of liberation, so that's 10% crit, and that means like all of our skills should pretty much crit, right? So huge crit. How do I play Lukemo again? So we'll just do our soul reliever, and then big ultimate skill. I think we missed the crit down there, right? I feel like if I change my tarot to justice, I'll like overcap on crit. Like, he's the ultimate crit buffer, I guess. For the element units, that's 40% extra crit damage. Like, I don't know what's the best way to put it. You know, we've got our base crit at 10%. The aura, 20% crit rate for everyone else. Element gets an extra 10% for having the liberation. And then normal have like 5% crit damage. Element have the 10%. Then we get the crit rate 2 from having Verdant Melody. The healing mode on Heshan. And then Tribal War Song from... I mean, you get crit damage 1 from the Verdant Melody, so you get like 20% crit damage, but it gets overwritten by the crit damage 2 from Tribal War Song, which is 30% crit damage. And then if you have 5 stacks of liberation and using Break the Shackle skill with element units, that's an additional 10% crit rate, right? From this, like, these have the Break the Shackle type skills, and based on the liberation stack count. Yeah, just extra 10%, and you're like insane. Like element 80% crit rate, 40% crit damage. That's not including gear like, you know, Void Stab, that's an extra 15% crit. Justice Tarot, that's a 15% extra crit rate, and then 15% extra crit damage as well. You're like overcapping on crit and crit damage. It's been too much. So like, I think having Heshan, like, you do need him to optimize your damage and like max out on your crit rate and crit damage. It's something that you have to do. It is very specific, right? Very specific for element, the crit rate, crit damage. But even if you're not element, it's still really solid, right? Crit rate, crit damage. Where else would you have been getting crit rate, crit damage from? Like, this aura is pretty much directly replacing Luffy's full victory, right? Luffy. Like, crit rate 20%, crit damage 5% for all allies, 3 tiles, 4 tiles, 10% here. But then for the element units, it's 10% crit damage, and then it's 30% crit rate, right? So I guess it is pretty much a direct replacement there. And this is essentially replacing Coco's Iron Pot Stew in a way, because yeah, we're just replacing the crit 2, crit damage 1. In this case, we get crit 2 and crit damage 1 just from the Verdant Melody maintain state, and then we get crit damage 2 from the Tribal War Song. So just better than that. all these skills have been sort of power crept in a way, right? I mean, Farland still has a 15% crit thing from protective power. It's also an aura, so this has been like replaced as well, right? In a way. And while there are units that give you level 2 buffs, like the Hierophany from Credenza gives you all level 2 buffs, it doesn't include crit damage, right? Attack 2, crit 2, there's no crit damage, it's just crit 2, that's it. So having that crit damage 2 is really, really insane. Anyway, I feel like Luffy has been somewhat dethroned now. Like, everyone's chasing after his vulnerable 3, and now he's been pretty much outclassed by being, you know, a crit aura buffer. Like, he still has his DOT and everything, but if you're running element units, right? If you're running Lukama, he already inflicts vulnerable 3 from her 5-star effect. Like vulnerable 2, but 5-star, vulnerable 3 after attacking, and yeah, it's like Luffy just he's been outclassed as an aura bot because of Heshan. Heshan is the ultimate crit buffer, at least for now, right? Alright, I'll leave it there. What do you guys think? We got like so much crit damage in his kit. I guess it's pretty nice. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.